Karibu sana kwenye kipindi cha Clouds 360 tukiwepo kwenye maongezi maalum, kwenye interview maalum na Father John Witherspoon ambaye yeye ni prison chaplain au anaweza kuwa ndio wale mapadri ambao wako pale kwenye jela na yuko kule Hong Kong nchini China, ambapo hapo ndio anapofanyia kazi na anatolea watu sala. Anazungumza na watu wengi wakiwemo wa Tanzania ambao wamefungwa kwenye hizo jela ambazo ziko Hong Kong, na saa zingine huwa pia anaenda hadi mainland China na saa zingine pia makao. Atatuambia kuhusu kazi yake na nini ambacho amegundua. Nafikiri pia amekuja na barua tofauti kutoka kwa Tanzania ambao wamefungwa kwenye hizo jela na labda na ujumbe fulani. Welcome Father John Witherspoon. Yeah, I see you coming from somewhere to normal mule. Okay, you're a prison chaplain in Hong Kong?
Yes, I've been a full-time chaplain for the last 10 years.
Okay.
And I've been very sad to see a big increase in the number of prisoners from Africa, especially Tanzania. And 6 years ago, I started a campaign to try to warn people in Tanzania not to get involved. And thanks to help from people like Clouds and other media, the number has actually dropped greatly.
Okay, so what are you carrying? I see you've got some information I think we need to get into it before I ask you how many Tanzanians you've met, if any of the celebrities or well-known people are there, and how are the conditions that they're in Hong Kong?
Okay, well, just to get this out of the way, this is a letter from a woman from Kenya, because a lot of people from Kenya as well as Tanzania have been going to prison in Hong Kong, and she describes how she was recruited, how she was tricked to go to Addis Ababa. The letter is on the internet there. It's a very graphic and powerful letter, how she was treated, badly treated, even raped by a Nigerian in Addis Ababa, then forced to carry drugs in her body to Hong Kong. And in the last 3 years, 20 people from Addis Ababa getting drugs from there have been arrested in Hong Kong, 17 of them from Tanzania and Kenya. And I would like to warn people about the danger of being tricked to go to Hong Kong and spending time in transit in Addis, where somebody might force you or trick you to take drugs to Hong Kong.
Why is it such a lucrative business, do you think, when you speak to them?
Because the price of cocaine we're talking about is so high in Hong Kong. And people here can't really afford cocaine. Cocaine goes to Addis Ababa from Sao Paulo in Brazil, and then they look for drug mules from Tanzania and Kenya to take it to places like Hong Kong. In the first week of January this year, only a couple of weeks ago, 5 people from Tanzania were arrested for drug trafficking with drugs from Addis Ababa. 3 of them were arrested in Hong Kong, 2 at Addis Ababa airport, trying to go to India.
Today is the 23rd,
yes.
Right? We're into the very last weeks of January. You're talking about less than 2 weeks ago.
That's
already
correct.
5 Tanzanians.
5 Tanzanians in the first week of this year, which is terribly sad.
Mm-hmm. How do you know this?
The media report in Hong Kong, after I left, it had a story about the 3 arrested in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And I met with the federal police and airport authorities in Addis Ababa on my arrival on January 7, and they showed me the passport photos of the 2 men, a man and a woman actually, they had arrested trying to go to Mumbai. I'm trying to work with the authorities in each place. I've met with authorities in Addis and in Nairobi and here, very supportive, hoping they will work more closely together to try to stop this business.
When you go meet them at the airport, how do you introduce yourself? What do you tell them, and why do they feel like they can give you this information or release this information to you?
Well, I show them my card, I show them what I've been doing, I show them information about what's been happening, and they realize who I am, what I've been doing, and they do trust me. I met with Mr. Sagi, is it, at the Drug Enforcement Agency here in Kaji, Mr. Kaji. Mm-hmm. I met with him 2 days ago through his assistant, Cassian, with whom I'd been in contact through email. And they're very supportive, and I'm hoping that they can work with people in Nairobi and in Addis to try to stop this, because it involves the 3 countries. I praise the authorities here in Tanzania and in Kenya for what they've been doing. They've tightened control at the airports. The problem is not inside Tanzania or Kenya. The problem is the Nigerians in Addis are attracting people from here to go to Addis to get drugs. They've even got people here in Tanzania and in Kenya recruiting people to go to Addis. The problem is not internal, not the government problem, it's the guys outside who are attracting people from here. They're the ones we've got to stop.
So let's go back to the Tanzanians in Hong Kong.
About 130 in prison, the biggest number from Africa, in prison in Hong Kong for drug trafficking from Tanzania. Very sad.
What's the majority, men or women?
It used to be a majority of men, probably of the 130 is still mainly men, but lately, lately more women going as well.
And what's the reason?
Well, a small minority of them are after fast money, but the big majority are after money for their families to pay medical and school bills. They're trying to get money. They've tried for a long time. Many of the women are alone. Their husbands have gone or died, and they're trying to bring up children. Very sad. The most recent woman from Tanzania has 5 children.
Do you get a chance to speak to them?
I see them all the time. I have a chaplain's pass which gets me into all the prison. I meet them when they arrive, and they know what I'm doing. They know how I can try to help them communicate with their families, help support them while they're in prison, and they tell me their story. And I try to use their information to warn other people not to go. In 2013, when I started this campaign, they were arriving at the rate of 1 or more a week. At one stage, there were 30 men in the main remand prison where I go, the men's prison. So I got one guy, and then others joined in to write a letter about warning other people not to do it and how he got involved. I put it on my blog. It was taken up by media here in Tanzania, and in the following 8 months, there was only one. So it was very successful.
Which is a good thing, sorry. Tunazungumza na Father prison chaplain Father John Witherspoon ambaye ni padre ambaye anakuwepo pale jela ya Hong Kong. Anasema na deal na jela wanaume sana. Anasema kuna wanaume wengi ambao wa Tanzania wamefungwa pale kama 130 na wengi wao ni wanaume kulingana na wengine ni wanawake pia ambao wamefungwa pale. Tatizo ndio hiyo ya kusafirisha madawa ya kulevya. Tunaita kusembe ambao umekutwa na sembe. Anasema kwa mwaka huu tu ambao umeanza juzi tayari wa Tanzania 5 wameshikwa, 3 wakiwa Hong Kong, 2 wakiwa wanaelekea Addis Ababa kuelekea India, wamekamatwa na cocaine sembe. Anasema wengi ni kutafuta maisha, ndio maana wanakuwa wanajihusisha na biashara hiyo ya madawa ya kulevya. Wengine ni kusaidia familia zao, labda anatafuta kama ajira. Kwa hivyo ni kitu ambacho kinahuzunisha kabisa ambao anasema yeye. Lakini anasema baada ya kuwepo kuna wakati kila wiki wa Tanzania wanakutwa airport za Hong Kong na madawa ya kulevya. Ikabidi aandike kampeni, akitafuta moja, akaambia andike barua, akaandika wengi pale karibu 100 na kitu, na hiyo barua ikaanza kasomwa huku Tanzania. Kidogo ikaleta kama mshamsha na hamasa na numbers zikaanza kupungua. Kwa hivyo anasema labda hiyo kidogo ileta hamasa na alifanyia kupitia clouds. Now that you're meeting them, what do they say? What do they want us to know here in Tanzania? When you tell them that, you know what, I'm going to Tanzania in a few days, in a few weeks, what do they want us to know?
They want to tell people here not to get involved, not to make the same mistake, because most of them finish up with 10 or 12 years in prison away from their families. It's a terrible hardship. Conditions in prisons in Hong Kong are among the best in the world. Free food, free clothing, free medical care, a small salary for working, but no freedom. And it's terrible being away from their families. They'd like to warn other people not to make the same mistake.
With the unrest that's ongoing right now in Hong Kong, how is that affecting the prison and the supplies that you're talking about that they're getting?
It's not really affecting the prisoners very much, except there's an increase in the prison population of some of the protesters going to prison.
But nothing else?
No.
All right. So what else can they get? What I know they cannot get amnesty. How long are most of them in prison for? Will they ever have a chance of getting out, or do they get, what do they say, hanged?
There's no death penalty in Hong Kong,
okay.
But that does remind me they'd like to warn Tanzanians not to get involved, because sometimes they're sent to countries they don't realize those countries have got the death penalty, like China itself, Indonesia, Singapore. But Hong Kong doesn't have death penalty, just long sentences, maybe 20-something years. which can come down by 1/3 for pleading guilty, another 1/3 for good behaviour. Most people finish up with 10 or 12 years. But if they plead not guilty and they lose, it can be 17, 18, 20 years.
Have you met any of them that are actually going to serve that long?
Yes, I've met quite a few. They made the mistake of pleading not guilty, and they did not have enough information to prove they're not guilty. If they plead not guilty, they go before a jury of 7 people as well as the judge. And the 7 people are willing to believe stories which have information. But if you just say, I was forced, I was tricked, without information, you don't have much chance of winning. There have been quite a number of cases in the last year of people being acquitted, people from Africa, Indonesia, other countries, but they had information, they had CCTV, they had email, they had WhatsApp messages. But if somebody's got nothing, not much hope. And unfortunately, the Nigerians who are recruiting people, they're very clever. They get people to delete their phone messages, even delete their whole phone number. So there's no record there.
Trace and
no
record
trace,
of
yeah.
them. Okay, what about the same situations that are affecting the Tanzanians in Hong Kong? Are they the same that are affecting Africans? Is it the same? Have you found out if it's the same ring, the same gang, or the same? Are they connected, these stories?
Yes, very much connected.
But you can tell it's one cartel or one gang.
It's more than one gang. In Addis Ababa, there's at least 2 gangs of Nigerians. They used to be more active together with local recruiters here in Tanzania and in Kenya. But the Nigerians themselves have been driven out of the 2 countries. They're operating outside the 2 East African countries now. But they still have people here inside Tanzania and inside Kenya recruiting people for them, mainly women who are perhaps have Nigerian boyfriends, or they have some former prisoners in Hong Kong who might be still working with them.
Do you have names? Do they give you names? Do they want to share names?
I have names which I've given to Mr. Kaji here in the DCEA to try to stop these people.
These Nigerians coming in. Do you have names of the perpetrators, or you have names of the victims in
both
in the prisoners? You have both.
Both, and I've given them to the authorities here to try to use to stop others from being caught up.
You don't feel like your life is in danger because maybe they give you too much information and you're told not to mess around with that?
Yes, there is a bit of danger. I've been threatened, but I think the Nigerians and their helpers, they're more in danger because someday they're going to go to the big court and they could be in prison for eternity in a place called hell for doing what they're doing, destroying families and destroying people by drugs. They can only punish one person very simply here, but they're facing eternal punishment in hell for what they're doing.
So what do you tell them as a father when you go see these prisoners?
Well, I try to encourage them to keep contact with their families. Through an NGO I belong to and through other NGOs, we help them to study. Some of them come back with degrees. They do a whole degree while in Hong Kong. And so when they come back, somebody says, "What did you do in Hong Kong?" "I went to university."
But they just don't tell you where.
No, but they actually do a full course. They can do a full university course. There's actually some Tanzanian men who are making money for their families in Hong Kong. They get a salary of about $50 to $80 a month, and then they do other things to try to get money for their families. They sell one of their meals. They get good meals, which the local people have a different diet. There's Chinese diet, Western diet, vegetarian, Muslim diet, and the local Chinese prisoners would like some of the Western food. So the Tanzanian men, they sell one of their meals to the Chinese prisoner, who then has to tell a friend outside to put money in the bank account of a friend of the Tanzanian, who sends it to his family. They do other things, like they'll take the turn of the local Chinese to clean the room, clean the toilets. They are allowed to be handed in cigarettes, which are the currency in any prison. They'll sell their give their cigarettes to the locals, anything to get money for their families, because most of them have done this to try to help their families. They think about their families the whole time. Some of them, a tiny few, even though conditions here in the prisons are bad compared with Hong Kong, they would like to come back. It's not very practical, because if they come back, the families have to pay for transport to visit them, pay for meals to be handed in, medical. It puts a big burden on their family. But there's a tiny minority who would like to be back, especially the women, to be near their children. They leave them as babies and come back when they're teenagers. So even though it's a hardship, some of them would like to come back, and they'd hope that the governments here would have an agreement with Hong Kong for prisoner transfer. No African country yet has finalized a transfer agreement. I'm hoping that might happen soon.
Okay. All right. So do you have any of the names? Have you gone to see any of the families? Do they send you to the families? Are you allowed to carry anything physical, tangible from Hong Kong prison to their families here in Tanzania?
Just messages. And I know a lot of the families. I've been here before and I met the families. I have a gathering in each place I go with families of prisoners in Hong Kong. A few days ago in Nairobi, I had a gathering of 46 people. It was beautiful. And the beauty of it, special beauty, was there were 5 or 6 women from Kenya who had been in Hong Kong, some of them for 9 or 10 years. And they came to the gathering and they shared their experiences. And it gave great hope to the families that their loved ones also would come back soon.
Okay. Nilikuwa nazungumza na Father John Wotherspoon ambaye yeye ni padre wa jela moja kubwa pale Hong Kong. What's the name of the prison?
There's different prisons. There's Laikchikok for men, there's Salaam for women, Lorwu for women, different prisons there in Hong Kong.
Kwa hivyo ni padre wa jela kule Hong Kong ambaye ndo anasimamia, anaenda pale, na sana anasema nasikitika kuona Watanzania wengi kwa sababu ya madawa kulevya ndo wamefungwa kule, wengi kabisa kati ya bara la Afrika wa Tanzania ndo wanaongoza, na ni kwa sababu ya kudanganywa na Nigeria. Wanadanganywa na Nigeria kwa sababu ya masuala ya pesa, familia yao na kila kitu, wanaambiwa ni watatajirika na kila kitu. Wanakuja kushikwa airports tofauti. Addis Ababa wanakuambia sehemu 3 ambazo ndo zinapitisha ni Addis Ababa, Nairobi na Tanzania, lakini ndio hapo unafika wanapeleka labda China kule mainland. Kuna nchi ambazo kabisa unaweza kuwa na ile death sentence, yani ile ambayo ya kufa kabisa. Wanaweza kukunyonga, wanaweza kupiga bastola, lakini unasema Hong Kong sio moja hapo. Pale wanakaa miaka 10, miaka 12, miaka 18, miaka 20, inategemea kama utasema ndio nimekiri kosa au nimeikataa, ndio inamaanisha inaleta tofauti pale. Wanasema pia wafungwa pale wanasoma, kuna wengine wanachukua kabisa degree pale wafungwa, kwa sababu ndio unaweza pia wanafanya kazi ndogo hapa na pale. Ndio maisha yao wanavyoishi, wanapata hivyo pesa kidogo, wanatuma kwenye familia yao. Kina mama pia ndio wanafanya vile, lakini maisha pale yanasema ni magumu. Kwa hivyo yeye, yani wito wake ni kuja kuzungumza na Tanzania, kuambia bwana, jamani, biashara kujihusisha na madawa kulevya sio biashara njema kwako au kwa familia yako. Ni kitu ambacho kitakufanya utengane na familia yako, mtakuwa mbali na familia yako. Kwa hivyo ni kitu ambacho kitakuletea madhara wewe, utajirudisha nyuma na utarudisha pia familia yako nyuma. Kwa hivyo anasema hao nakutana nao ni wanatuma ujumbe tu kupitia kwa familia zao huku Tanzania. Wanawamiss kwamba tumebadilisha tabia, msijihusishe na masuala ya madawa kulevya na wako sawa. Kwa hivyo ni ujumbe tu ambao anatuma, yakija huku Tanzania anakutana na familia tofauti. Asante sana. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure having you.
Can I mention one little thing, please?
Please.
There's a little booklet I've written to try to help people use legal means to get out of difficulties rather than illegal. It's called Good News for the Poor, and it's on the internet.earth. Good News, www.goodnewsforthepoor.earth. It uses the ideas of Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi and Jesus to show people how they can get out of difficult situations without going into illegal activities.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mungu akabariki.
Mungu akubariki na wewe pia. Father John Wotherspoon, and keep doing the good work that you're doing. And of course, when you're there, give them hope. And when you do come and talk to the families, also do give them hope.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Thank you.
Asante sana. Ndio hiyo muda tulikuwa tunazungumza kwenye maongezi maalum na Father John Wotherspoon ambaye yeye ni padre wa majela tofauti kule Hong Kong, China, ambao kazi yake ni kuzungumza na wafungwa, kuwafariji, kuwapatia matumaini, kuambia bwana wamefanya makosa lakini wanaweza kusamehewa, lakini pia anachukua pia muda kutoa wito na kutoa onyo kwa wale wengine kwamba msijihusishe na masuala au biashara ya madawa kulevya. Kutoka hapa studio za Clouds 360 nasema asante sana. Tuendelee na kipindi.